الله 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 نور السماوات والأرض. Lantern of light evolving together.
Slow down, mama. Why are you always in a rush? Always chasing something? You wake up already thinking about the next task: breakfast, laundry, cooking, cleaning, bedtime, and repeat again. We're always in a rush, always chasing something. But have you noticed something, that the faster you go, the emptier it feels at times? And when was the last time when you took a deep breath? You don't have to move faster to be a good mother. Sometimes you have to move with presence. Your child won't remember how clean the house was, but they'll remember your warmth, your eyes meeting theirs, and your smile that always said, I'm here for you. Allah doesn't want you to burn out. He wants you to find sukoon, peace, and tranquility in your home, with your family, in your motherhood, in your journey, and in yourself. So let's bring that peace together, inshallah, on today's program. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to our respected viewers on Lantern of Light. And once again, this is your host, Sakeena Habib, and I would like to welcome you all. I hope that all of you are keeping in good health, and I'm very happy to be conducting our program once again on our Lantern of Light, amazing, phenomenal podcasts where we bring amazing, impactful conversations which are very real, reflective, and of course, connected to the real times that we are living in today. Before moving on to our upcoming conversation with our special guest, whom I'll be introducing to you all, I want to tell you all that, don't wait for healing, claim it today. So, Lantern of Light is, of course, once again offering faith based, confidential, and accessible guidance, so you don't have to carry it alone. This poster has been available on our Instagram page, so you may take a look at it, and it's also available right now on the screen, as you can see. We are offering one to one sessions with licensed therapists rooted in faith, highly subsidized, accessible to every soul. You can book your session, which is 1 hour each, and of course, there are subsidized costs to it. So, starting from £35, sometimes maybe if there's a therapy with a licensed therapist, then that could be £45. But otherwise, we've got faith mentorship, we've got one to one check in, women's religious consultations, healing through listening, and a lot more. You can also give healing by sponsoring or donating. So, for example, if you would want to donate a session for someone in need, you can do that, which is for £35. If it's 6 sessions, and it's for £210. So, any amount that your heart basically guides, you can do that. Limited spots are available. We've put this out from the 2nd of October, and it's still on. So since this is also the month of mental health awareness, please make sure that you make good use of it, and keep spreading it to your family and friends. We've got the email address, as well as the Stripe link in our profile, and you can see the scan code. You can scan to donate or access mental health support by scanning through this VR code. So please feel free to do so, and let's help out one another. Now, moving on to our today's important discussion. I'm very, very humbled and very excited to introduce our dear sister, Sister Noor Albayati, who is an emotional wellness coach. And I can't wait to have this amazing conversation with her on spiritual parenting today. That's right. So, in today's modern times, there are a lot of parents who are, of course, struggling in how to bring spirituality, how to embrace motherhood, especially in the digital era. And with all the conundrums that as parents we ourselves have our own trauma issues. We're reparenting ourselves, our inner selves, we're working on our inner souls. And how do we bring a change within our children to create a harmonious environment? So without much further ado, I would like to welcome Sister Noor Al Bayati on board with me.
Salam.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Noor. How are you doing? Welcome on Lantern of Lights podcast. It's a wonderful opportunity to have you and a pleasure to have you with us.
Salam alaikum, Sister Sakeena. Alhamdulillah, I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much for having me and your amazing introduction. I loved the way you introduced how mothers are feeling. So thank you.
Yes. Absolutely. I think we're all feeling, a lot of pressure. And basically, I feel like it's not just one or two mothers. We're all together in this community. We're all sailing in the same boat. And I feel sometimes so happy that we know we can resonate and connect with each other emotionally. So it makes us feel like, we're all in this together. Alhamdulillah. So seeking guidance from each other, seeking guidance from, like, from your opinion or from another sister's opinion, listening to others views and opinions, and heartfelt reflections. I feel it elevates us more spiritually. So, Sister Noor, first of all, I want you to give us a little introduction about yourself. Tell us about you as a mother. I want to know that who is Sister Noor as a mom, and from your perspective, how would you describe motherhood, and what do you think? Like, let's just start off with all of this first. Let's get to know you first, and then we'll move on to today's discussion.
Yeah, I think I'm here in the first place as a mother before being an emotional wellness coach, because I think motherhood actually teaches you so much anyway. So you become more knowledgeable about life and about your own self through your motherhood. So I think I want to say that I'm not the perfect mom. I'm just like so many other sisters. I have my own struggles with my children, but I think I use the skills that I've learned, and I'm always trying to learn. And because as my children get older, I have three children. One is a teenager, two are younger, and as they're getting older, different, and with each one there's different challenges. So I'm always learning myself as well. um, and I think what you said is so true about the fact that what will our children really remember, what will impact them the most? Is it the clean house and the tidy rooms, or is it more being present? Because I think this is something in this day and age that we lack the most time. Maybe we have the resources, we can buy them things, toys, clothes, but to have time when we are present, I think this is the challenge of this age.
Very true. You're right, Sister Noor. Sometimes as parents, we believe and think that maybe by fulfilling their materialistic needs, and their, I mean, more than their emotional needs, we feel like, oh, we've fulfilled our duties as parents. But I feel that today, especially today, our children want to seek more validation based on their feelings, on their emotional level, on their emotional well-being level, on their spiritual and psychological level. They need to be understood rather than being approved by outsiders, for instance, right? They want that love and affection more from their mothers at home, more from their fathers at home. And so I think we should be working more on that in terms of our presence. Okay, now I want to move on to asking you, uh, since the topic is of course very obvious, and of course our viewers want to know that how can we bring in that spiritual aspect into parenting today. So how do you think has social media changed mothers' identities online today? Do you think it is actually influencing a lot of mothers today in the sense of affecting their maternal mental health as well as their social connectedness?
I think for sure it has a huge impact on mothers, like it has impact on everyone in society. One of a category, let's say, of people it's affecting is mothers and our motherhood. I think on a subconscious level, it's the comparison we are doing, whether we are aware of it or whether we're not. Because a lot of the time, we know on a conscious level that social media is not reality, but there is
Yeah.
still an aspect which is subconscious to us, which then triggers our feeling of guilt that we're not good enough, that we're not doing well enough, because of that comparison that we do with social media moms, mom influencers that we see. And yes, even though on a conscious level we know this is not reality, the subconscious impact is definitely still there. And I think also it depends on how much you expose yourself to it. The more you're exposed to it, the higher the impact. And are you consciously following certain people? For example, are you choosing good role models that that have maybe more realistic uh, like a presence that shows the real challenges of moms, or are you following somebody who just has a beautiful nice house and kitchen and who has everything organized all the time? Because I've seen examples of that online. A mother of maybe 7 children, but her house is tidy and they're all doing everything that she's asked them to do. And it's, you look at it and how realistic is that? I'm not sure. Is she just showing us a glimpse of her day when everything's going well? So all these things, comparison is natural because this is what humans do as one of the survival instincts. But the expectation of comparing yourself to something unrealistic, that's when the problems start to arise. I think it just froze, Sister Sakeena.
Right, correct. So that was a beautiful example that you gave about how some mothers, really are struggling in, maintaining that harmony and balance. And at the same time, they want to give that love and affection to their kids as well. But what I feel today, the thing that's really distracting us is social media and, the gadgets that we've been having in our households. And I want to state a few facts that how today parents are the new screen addicts and kids are actually paying the price. So there were some statistics that showed that parents spend almost 5 hours per day on phones, and 1 in 5 show signs of addiction, and 73% of families fight over screens even at meals or playtime. What happens in the result is that kids fight, bonds fade, and anxiety grows. And this anxiety, when it grows in the parents, of course, it automatically spreads in the whole house and the kids get affected. And then there's not that sukoon and harmony in the house. Then 8 and 10 kids want phone limits, and 2 and 3 say that it hurts their relation. Like, maybe they're not being given enough attention, they're not getting that validation or approval, and so they seek an external validation through their phones or their friends outside. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that kids don't start the habit, they copy it. And who are they copying it from? As you said, the role models who are in front of their eyes, and they are the parents, because that's whom children look up to, right? So as parents, what do you think, what should be our responsibility? Like, how can parents effectively uh try to become less screen addicts in today's time? What would you say, should we completely avoid screen time, or should we not overuse it? If we are using it, we should use it intentionally. So what is your view about on this, Sister Noor?
I think it's a very difficult challenge that we are facing. And I think because, for example, I didn't grow up with screens, there was no such a thing as social media when I was younger. Now that I'm exposed to it, I'm not sure how to deal with it from a child's perspective, because when I was a child, that was not a thing, that was not available. So I think this is one of the challenges that parents are facing, that where humanity is going through this for the first time. So we are still learning how to deal with it. But I do see the benefits of social media, even though maybe they're less than the negatives, let's say. But for example, the conversation we're having right now, this could be beneficial. This is not something I want people to completely, deny themselves. But I do think strategies to limit exposure and to be consciously aware and know exactly who we are listening to. And it is very difficult in the shorts, for example, and you're scrolling. It's very difficult because the way it's designed is very addictive, and the way it releases all these chemicals in your brain, it's not an easy challenge. I think one of the ways to do it is maybe, and this is something that I want to try myself, to have my social media not on the phone, rather than maybe on an iPad, so it's not all the time with me. Um, for a few months, I deleted all my social media Ramadan last year, and it actually felt good. It felt freeing not to have it with me all the time. And then if I needed to go on Instagram, I would have to, log in through the website, which is harder to go on, and it's not as easy to see the reels. So there are strategies, and I think there are different apps as well that can like limit the time to go on it as well.
Well, I must say that you're actually very brave to do something like that. Like, you said that you completely stopped going into your Instagram during Ramadan, because it's not an easy thing. As you said, like the reels and everything, it's so addictive. And the surprising part is that, our phone somehow is able to read our minds. I don't know. It's like, how should I say it? Like, it can read your conversations, like what you're thinking, so it shows you exactly what you want to read on your feed somehow. For example, if you're a mom, so like, you're like, what do you say? You're like forced to, scroll these reels and everything, because it's related to you at the end of the day. So like, the tips and the advices and everything. And you feel, oh, this is like something which is relating to me. So, it's giving me information and everything. So that's also something that we really need to sometimes ponder upon, that wow, the algorithm is so strong. Like, it knows what's the requirement of this certain individual, how should I seek their attention. And that's exactly how it's playing with our minds, and we fall for it. So I hope that other mothers can also like take some good inspiration from you, as you said, to basically cut down our screen time, like, for some time, so we can reflect back on our actual lives, we can focus on other things, improve in areas where we feel like, we've missed out. I think that's something that we should do, even if it's seasonal basis, but it really does help. Absolutely. Okay, what about how can parents foster and model godly living and spiritual discipline in a digital heavy environment. So, what I'm trying to ask in this question is that, for example, we've got our prayers, our way of doing, for example, wudu, reading Quran, reading the azkars, reading about the ahadith of our Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. So these kind of things, like how can we easily try to instill it in our kids without even forcing them, because they've got social media as well within the agenda, within the schedule. So what do you think? How can, as parents, we do that?
I think for sure the number one thing and number one strategy is to play by example. So you do it yourself. And I think that impacts children the most, because no matter how much we tell them verbally and talk to them about the benefits of it, if you are not doing it and they're not seeing it in you, the impact won't be as much. I think personally, and from what I've tried with my children, it's not really, I don't like forcing my children to do something, because it'll just be temporary. They'll do it temporarily for that moment, for that day, because they have to. And as soon as they have the freedom not to do it, they won't. So I feel like this is not really a helpful strategy. But one is to, to do the example yourself. You're praying, they see you praying. Make sure they see you praying as well. Don't pray somewhere, away from them. Read dua. So for example, on Laylatul Qadr, I would just say to them, tonight is a very beautiful night. Connect to God, speak to him, even if it's only for 5 minutes. Just have your intimate time with God. And we sometimes will do it together. I try for my children, especially the younger ones, not to make it overwhelming for them. Even if they have 5 minutes of their speaking to God from their heart, I think that's more beneficial than them sitting next to me while I'm reading long du'as. This is what I use. Because what we really want to do ultimately is to help them build that relationship with God. And the relationship has to be genuine, it has to be authentic, it has to be felt in their hearts for it to grow. The other way is I always try and link God in our daily life. For example, we had a nice meal or we went out somewhere and had a good time. I always try and tell them that this is a gift from God to us. Alhamdulillah, Allah has allowed us to experience this. Allah has made this possible for us. And reminding them of all the benefits and all the blessings that he's been giving us. That's one thing. And I think the other side is the way we communicate with our children, the way we treat our children. To them, this is who they see God through. They see God through us. Because you're the one talking to them about God. You're the one telling them that he's loving. Are you loving towards them? You're the one telling them that he wants the best for them. Are you communicating that? Because, and I think I've seen that in previous generations, they tell you pray and, obviously with love in their mind, but the way they presented that love was very tough. It was tough love. So we grew up with the ideology that God is, a bit more, what's the word, like harsh. We have fear from God. We have all that fear from hell and the hereafter. And so now that we have more awareness, we have more knowledge, we have seen different ways to communicate with our children, we need to manifest that in our relationship with them. And that doesn't mean you don't discipline them, because they need that as well. That's part of you enabling them to live in this world and to achieve the best in this world. But even when you're disciplining them, it doesn't come with anger and rage. It comes from, I love you, but I'm giving you a bit of a discipline because you need that in your life. I think, yeah.
Very beautiful liners. You said that, our children see us, through God. Like, they see God through us. Sorry, they see God through us. A very beautiful liner. Absolutely, Sister Noor, and the fact that you've addressed this. And I mean, the earlier generations, your time, my time, and before us, of course, where, like, I remember parents used to say, oh, if you're not going to pray today, then Allah is going to get very upset with you, and the hellfire is awaiting you, and these kind of dialogues and statements. Obviously, at that time, if we think about it, and today the children themselves would question, like, they're very smart, right? So they would question you, like, well, how can you say something like that? So are you telling me that God is actually a negative entity or something, right? So as you said that, the way we will portray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's how our kids will understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually very merciful, He's very loving, and He doesn't just like punish on these kind of things. uh your intention, your khulus, your sincerity, these are the things that really matter. So when you said that, even when with your kids, like, you don't make them feel overwhelmed when they're doing any sort of dua, or when they're doing any dhikr or adhkar, even if it's like 10 minutes in a day, as long as they've done it with full sincerity. And there's another point over here that I want to mention, that sometimes, our kids, they fall into the trap of, show offing, in the sense that if we're going to the mosque, or if we're in public, so just for the sake of showing it to others that, we're very religious, we're very muttaqi, very spiritual. So based on those reasons, if they are doing these kind of things, then of course, the intention is lost, the sincerity is lost. So while being at home, when they're doing it even for a few minutes, half an hour, but if they're doing it with wholeheartedly, then we know that we're raising good human beings over here. So be it any akhlaq, be it any small what do you say, action or amal that they would do in their everyday life, even as they grow and become into these mature adults, you see, they would do it out of sincerity, not that because they've been forced to do it, right? So these are some good points that I've taken from your conversation. Okay, what about okay, going back to online social media, do you believe online social media strategies help mothers manage guilt from digital use? So uh, I think I'm referring over here to motherhood struggles, like especially young mothers, who are raising toddlers, or who have teenagers, and they are able to connect with each other on the same platform. So obviously in our older communities, because online did not exist, so every mother was going through her own depression, her own struggles, and only a couple of these aunties or relatives would come and give her some certain opinions, and she would stick to that, right? And so she wouldn't be able to connect with uh, other women, on a global aspect or something. But today, mothers are doing that because we've got opinions from women from all around the globe, and so that makes things a bit more resonating. Like, you don't feel you're left out. You're the only one who's, for example, suffering through a postpartum depression, for example. There are other women who have also been through this situation. So what do you think? Do these kind of online strategies help?
I think that is one side of the positives of social media, that you can be connected with somebody who lives across the oceans, and you can talk about things that you both feel, especially now that for Muslims, for Shia Muslims, we're all over the world. This, in the Europe, in the US, in different parts of the world. But sometimes we have the same pressures, we have the same experiences. We're talking now and we're very far away from each other, but we can relate to each other's struggle. So I do see that as one of the positives. I do still feel that when we have physical gatherings, the impact is more. There is definitely more energy that you feel in the presence of other people, but it's a good alternative. It's a good alternative when that is not available. Yeah, I think you can connect, you can feel seen by other ladies going through the same thing, or other people. You can feel validated. You can also get advice, or speak to different specialists who don't live in your local area. So I would say it's a good alternative. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You're right. So, yes, there are positives to it. And what I believe in, like what I've seen, I think the negative part to it would be the comparison bit, in the sense that, when some mothers, they post their journeys, for example, if they're doing too well, or if they're showing off the very hi-fi lifestyle, which not everybody, of course, is able to afford or has, of course, depending on the economy, the lifestyle, the location, wherever you're living. So, like, for example, we've got like mom vloggers, you know they're depicting their everyday reality. Like, for example, they're preparing these amazing breakfasts for their children, right? We've got this amazing table layover with like souffle pancakes and strawberries and I don't know, croissants and I don't know, like so many kinds of different dishes, right? And you're just wondering to yourself, like, I am just able to provide a very simple uh like toast bread or cereals, or just maybe a simple pancake, but without the decoration and the toppings and the savory and everything to my kids. So am I doing good enough? Like, am I being a really good mom? So I guess those are the areas that where maybe some mothers might feel like the pressure comes on too much, right? So here's a like an advice tip to everybody, that you're all doing your best. Everybody is the best amazing mother to their children, and with all the resources that you have, whatever you're pouring out from your heart, you're putting it on the table, as long as you're doing it out of love and your child is feeling that love from you. So that's what matters the most, right? And also, we should teach our children that whatever exists on social media is not always real, because our world, the world that we're living in, the lifestyle that we're living in, one should be contented and happy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with even this much risk. We should be very satisfied and contented, and we should never compare ourselves to these children who are on social media, for example, right? So this is, I think, also a lesson that we should pass on to our children. I was giving this example the other day of how we should teach our children from now the value of money, currency. Like, once they're 5 onwards, 6 onwards, nowadays children understand everything. We don't need to tell them half of the things. So, for example, if we're going to a supermarket, rather than like, for example, telling them, oh, you can spend or buy whatever you want, just because they see it on social media, how the other parents buy for their children every single thing. So if you want to teach them the value of money and budgeting, you can give them a certain amount, and you can tell them that, okay, let's have a nice, wonderful treat. It's like a treat day today. So if I'm giving you, say, 20 pounds, okay, or 25 pounds, and within this range, try to see whatever fits in. What can you buy? What would you like to buy today? So that makes them even smarter in a way that they'll be able to calculate what fits in within this budget range and what can I buy. And so mommy and daddy have allowed me to spend this much today, and then of course the next weekend or after a month, we can do the same thing again and again. So at the same time, we don't want to make them feel that oh, we can't afford, and at the same time, we don't want to even make them feel like you should necessarily buy everything in one go. We should rather create that balance, that this is the what we have today, and this is what you can buy, and this is what we can satisfy ourselves with today. So automatically, as they grow and become even adults, then They would learn how to balance, right, in their own lifestyles, right, without overspending. Okay, another question, Sister Noor, is that from your personal experience, from your own motherhood journey, can you share with us some unique advices or tips in empowering yourself as a mom and embracing motherhood while responding spiritually to digital temptations? What would you say that as a mother, how did you personally, first of all, embrace motherhood, and what advice or tip would you want to give to someone today, so that they can, uh, like do a good upbringing of their children, especially in today's times?
Yeah, I think I just want to go back to the point that we've said before, and then I'll come back to this question. Um, what we've been seeing on social media, the horrific events and the hunger that was is going on in Gaza. I think I've used that as an example with my children when we've compared ourselves to other people. So I think that also brings them back to reality, that reality is not what they're seeing influencers or, even children influencers are showing. There is this side as well that's happening, and it's very real, and it's very, you know, it's genuine, it's real. People are suffering as well. So I think that puts you in a more a balanced way and a balanced view of the world for you and for your children as well. So I think it's important that we also acknowledge what goes on. People less fortunate than us, people are going through challenges and trials, and I don't think it's depending on the children's age. I think it's okay to discuss that with children and to talk about it so that they're more grateful about materialistic things that we have as well, and what we've been maybe sometimes taken for, without being grateful for it. We're ungrateful for
Very
all.
true. Yes, absolutely, I agree with you.
But I think because we've had this conversation recently actually with one of my children, they mentioned, oh, children can get everything they want, like you said, and we can't buy everything that we want. So we've had that discussion, but also I think it's important to tell children that money is a gift and it's a blessing from Allah, and we are guardians of it. So we shouldn't just waste it. Even if you had loads of it, that doesn't mean you just go and waste it on, sweets and random toys and things. So this is what I try, and it's an important discussion to have with children. Um, that everything we have is a blessing, and how is the best way to use it and utilize it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yes, very true, Sister Noor. That's a wonderful advice. And this is exactly what I think as parents we should pursue. We should, instill these values within our children, because we want to raise good human beings, right? That is our main aim today. So we want their hearts to have kindness. We want their characters to be blooming, with, a good, nourishing character. So yes, you're right, absolutely. When you see how other people around the world, the oppressed nations, the oppressed people are going through the worst of situations, I think this is the best example that we can give our kids, that alhamdulillah, you've got shelter, you've got water to drink, which is a basic necessity. You've got food to eat 3 times a meal. So these are the basic things that, as a child, you should be thankful to Allah, because there are people who have been less privileged with. So rather than showing them the hi-fi side of the world, we should also focus on this area, so that makes them feel that alhamdulillah, our parents, have provided us with at least these basic things, and this is all, of course, from Allah at the end of the day. So Allah is, very Rahman and Rahim to us. Very true. What about any final advice, any final words that you would like to share with us from your own journey? Uh, Something that really, maybe something that you struggled with in your motherhood journey, in growing, as a mother, in that spiritual growth, but maybe it came to you later on and now you want to share that message with other sisters?
I think something that really changed me as a mother is knowing that these children are not mine, as in they don't belong to me, that they belong to Allah, that they're His creation, just like I am. And what my role towards them is more of a guardian role, a person who is there to help them have skills, to help them have the tools, to look after them, um, so that they can go and become the best version of themselves, so that they can, serve Allah when they're ready and they're mature enough in the way that Allah intended for them. Um, and really to know that all I have to do is to strive. Sa'i is my part. The result is not in my hands. I think that's very important because it takes away some of the pressure. Because a lot of the time, parents, we just have this image. I want my child to be 1, 2, 3, like highly educated, highly successful, praise on time, doing all these things for the community. And we have this picture of our children as adults doing all these things. And the journey to there, we expect them to go through specific steps, but that's not how it is. The reality is they're going through their own journey. It might be different to what we imagine, but we need to just help direct them towards it and do our best. At the end of the day, they have a free will that Allah has given to them, and they get to choose how they act. I think that is a huge relief for parents because we're not really in control. All we're doing is we're trying our best. We're doing our best. We're praying to God and very much tawakkul on Allah that these are your creation. I'm doing my best to fulfill the role that you have chosen for me as well. Because at the end of the day, Allah chose for me to have these children and for anybody else to have their own children. And we didn't really choose the characters of our children. We didn't choose their personalities. We didn't choose the challenges that they're going to face, um, that we're going together. So do your best and tawakkul ala Allah, tawakkul ala Rabbil Alameen. That is probably, one of the best things that really helped me. And one more thing, because I think that is really, really important too, is to remember that in your relationship with your child, it's very much influenced by your inner world as well. So sometimes we get angry because we have specific expectations, but if we really look into it, it's the expectation that we have that are the problem. So I think working on yourself really helps hugely in your relationship with your children. The more you can work on your inner wounds, trauma, and anything that you've had from your childhood or from your life experience, the better and easier your parenthood journey becomes.
Thank you. Oh my God. I think you've highlighted everything that was wanted to be heard on today's program. So you've shared everything, in a very good nutshell, and very true. All the points that you've mentioned, sometimes we really need to just, direct our children, not be the controlling parents. Those people, who have really had a control over their children, those children turned out to be very depressed, having a lot of trauma issues in their lives. And today they are reparenting themselves as they're parenting their children. So good point that you've mentioned. I hope that all the viewers will take lots of beneficial points from today's program. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Sister Noor, for taking out your precious time, for joining us, sharing your wisdom and your reflective thoughts on parenthood and how we can, guide our children to, a spiritual, harmonious environment in this digital age. So, Jazakallah, it was so nice to have you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Sakeena and Lantern of Light. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed, it was a pleasure. And I would like to recommend once again to all our viewers to please make sure to hit the like button, do subscribe to our channel, and keep sharing this episode to as many family and friends and mothers who are in need of this amazing conversation. And yes, we will be catching up, in another conversations as impactful as these in the future as well. This is your host, Sakeena Habib, signing off. Jazakum Allahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.